You're watching the Isaiah Factor Uncensored.
And welcome back to the second half hour of the Factor Uncensored. Now, this next story may sound like a repeat of something we just told you about, and that's because it damn well is. Remember our conversation with Dr. Malika Mitchell-Stewart last week. She went to a Chase Bank branch in Sugar Land and was denied a bank account because the check looked fraudulent, and she says because she was black. She's filed a civil lawsuit against the bank, and the bank has also apologized. Well, guess what, folks? It's happened again to another woman at a different bank. Tonight's guest, much like Dr. Mitchell-Stewart, says it's because she's black. She tells us her story on The Factor tonight. Take a look.
This was Friday around noon, like a really cold day. There's no one in there. I walked in, gave them the check, and they took my driver's license. After waiting about 5 minutes, I asked what was going on, and they said that the check needed to be verified. So I went back outside, and I got my daughter and my mom out the car. So I go back in, and we wait about 5 more minutes. Then the cashier tells us that the check cannot be cashed. And I said, well, why can't the check be cashed? She says, because it wasn't able to be verified. So she pushes the check and my driver's license back. And so I'm like, well, I'm not understanding. And so the bank manager comes up and he's like, what's going on? I said, so you're saying that the check can't be cashed? And he told us that there's a lot of fraud that's been going on right now, and he doesn't know what it is, but there's a lot of fraud. Basically, I felt like he was insinuating that the check was fake. And I said, are you trying to say that this check is fraudulent? And then he gets an attitude. He goes up, he's like, as a matter of fact, you know what? I'm going to keep your check, your ID, and you can get out. And I'm like, excuse me? He said, you can leave. So he starts kind of trying to get security's attention. And I'm saying, wait a minute. So you're saying that I have to leave? And first of all, I need my driver's license back. But he told us, go. And then he stated that he was going to call the police. And I said, please call the police. And I told my mom, I said, can you call the police as well? Because first of all, this guy can't just keep my check. Then he can't keep my driver's license. But to tell me he's going to keep my driver's license. So about 20 minutes go by. The police come.
And you're still there in the lobby of the bank, right?
We're still there. He did try to put us out. And I wasn't leaving without my driver's license. But yeah, we're still in the lobby. The police come. He gets our story, then he goes to the bank manager, and the bank manager is telling him his story, but I hear the police officer saying, well, you can't keep her driver's license. But after all that commotion, so I guess they were able to verify the check, and I have it on video. He's like, I can be man enough to admit.
I am a grown man, and I will admit when I'm sorry.
But they did end up cashing the check.
So you think all of this was based on your race?
Yes, sir, I do.
And what gives you that impression?
Because first of all, with it being a check for $2,000, I've had checks for more than that just to be verified. But the nastiness of the bank manager, he was very aggressive, and he came off, to be honest, he came off a little racist. It was just his attitude. It was just a nastiness. Like, it's 2022. I felt like I was on a scene, like from what I used to read in my history books, like in elementary, middle school. I mean, just his aggression, his attitude, and then to tell me to get out. You're telling me to get out because, first of all, you insinuated that this was a fraudulent check. So basically, you're accusing me of a crime, but then to tell me to get out of your bank, like I've never been treated like that.
And what do you want to hear from the bank? An apology? What?
I want an apology, and to be honest, I think that some type of training should be done when it comes to dealing with customers, because it doesn't matter what you think a check is. If you think it's fraudulent or whatever, you should never have that type of attitude. But to be told to get out and then that you're going to keep the check and my driver's license, I've never heard of anything like that before.
just amazing. And of course, like we said, we had a doctor on who had her payroll check she wanted to deposit into a bank, and they told her they could not accept it. And then the bank came back and apologized. But once again, according to that doctor, it was based on race. And it's unfortunate that we have to deal with this in 2022.
Now, Waller says it was Independent Financial here in Houston, and Independent Financial did issue a statement to Fox 26 and The Factor. It reads, following established protocols for verifying and cashing checks, and this is for the protection of our customer accounts. In this situation, a non-customer presented a temporary check which had to be verified. Once the check was verified, the transaction was completed. This protocol is applied consistently in our daily operations. Our overriding goal is to protect our customer accounts and their financial well-being.